All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since my last post, but it's been a good month. I've had a lot going on, personal life, but still been trading as best I can every day. But I'm looking to do a lot more videos in June so that you can follow along on the journey. I haven't finished going through the IRA, but right now the Roth is had a great week. So started with 39.6, ending at 47, and then just kicking over to the IRA real quick. Um, yeah, big week. It's a great way to, my birthday is this weekend, so great way to kick off the birthday weekend, going from 44.2 on Monday and ending at 61.5. So had a lot of good trades, been able to catch a lot of good runners. Biggest highlights, I'd say, with the IRA, Snow and Dell I had on in earnings play contracts, and both of those easily gave me 12 to 1500 a piece. But without further ado, jumping into the Roth, kind of give an update on the positions. Still got Nvidia as the cornerstone. So this is the heart and soul of my portfolio. Never selling my shares. I added on Micron. This has just been on a tear. At some point, I am going to want to add on to this position. My hope is, eventually it gets to like 1,000 something, 2,000, and they do a stock split. So that's, which is also kind of the reason why in my IRA, to kind of give you an idea of what shares I'm holding there. Uh, I got Caterpillar, Google, just added Hood, Meta, Micron, hoping, some point a split. So I'm trying to get, those positions to 10 apiece. But then even like SanDisk, this is another one. If it does split, would love to have a share. I'm just kind of letting these ride with the trend, and then it dips, I'll add, and then we look for the next leg. I'd say UNH is probably the only lagger as far as stocks. UNH, Google are the laggers. Meta's not moving much, and Caterpillar's kind of moving sideways. But Palantir had a strong push, and what I'm gonna do, also, I'll have to make a separate video with explaining a lot of these plays, and maybe that'll be next week. I'll explain some of these small cap swings that I'm gonna start getting into. And as far as rules go, with the IRA, 5K max position. As far as bigger companies, for the small cap stocks, I'm just going to start with $1,000 and see what happens from there. As you can see, with like these penny stocks, you can get like a ton of shares. But looking into some quantum computing stuff is mainly what this is. And some of these, hey, they're actually pretty pricey. What was it? Yeah, Vertiv Holdings. But without further ado, let's get back to this. I'm gonna fast fire through these, and so this video isn't too long. So got Micron riding the wave. ARM is a trend play. So looking at ARM, just gonna ride this wave. Let's see how far is high. Out of this sideways channel right here, we ripped past, an equal, was that like a 1-to-1 extension, and now hit that 1.5. Looking for a continuation. I want to see uh, if we get to 406. So I just have the shares for that July contracts because I'm doing longer positions in the Roth. They aren't even, within the risk tolerance. Just give you an idea. As far as July goes, yeah, I'm not paying this. This account's not built for that kind of risk. But at one point, I did have a contract that was at like 12 within like these numbers. But yeah, as you can see, that's long gone. And actually, I can just show you. Let's see. So yeah, I had this. Trying to see what was my last arm play. Had a 430 that I got. No, that's June. Yeah, so the last arm play that I was in were the 350 calls, and I sold those 299%, 1200. And where are the 350s now? Sheesh. So I sold this contract at 1620. What is it again? Yeah, the 350s. So they're at 1620. Now sitting at 5130. I'll be honest, if I had a bigger portfolio and I had multiple contracts, I'd be holding that runner for dear life. But yeah, no, spent too much time on that. Caterpillar. So Caterpillar still uptrending. Looking for it to hold this area here and then continue on. If not, then possibly have this month gap here, dips into that gap, and then moves onward. But we'll see. So far, maintain the upper half of this gap. I need to add to this position, honestly. So that'll probably be something I add to. Let's see, can I add another scratch pad? Kind of give you an idea of what I'm looking to do next week. Nah, it just does the same thing. All right. So let's do this. Stocks. So stocks week of, I believe it's 31st. As far as stocks, so for cat, add to position. Google. So Google showing some exhaustion up here. Light pullback on the month. Still uptrending. It did come back. I got into a call with the bounce off of this weekly busy, and then looking at the daily, this could drop as far as to fill this gap. So might see that happen, and then that would be it dropping down to 50% of this week candle, but this would have been the previous week. So really just looking for it to maintain this upper half, possible gap fill here, but would love to see it rally from this point. If not, then I'll just wait for larger pullback and add on. I also have a call for this, so up small amount on that. We'll see how it goes. Meta. Meta bit sideways. Not the best momentum right now. So kind of stuck between, this gap right here has, kept price down. Right now, this gap right here is keeping price up. So might see some ranging going between these two. Might see some ranging between these two. As you see, hit consequent encroachment, and this one up here, 50%, came down to 50% right here. So we might just be able to play this range for a while. My hope is, of course, blows through this, but we don't know yet. But I will continue to, as long as it's in this area down here, I'll still add shares. And I believe I have shares in the IRA as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So that'll be one where, just add shares and load up while it stays, in this consolidation area here. So far, like it's broken out of this initial bit of sideways movement, but gonna need to see it really, start pushing and making its way up, hopefully. Then we have Microsoft and SoFi. Microsoft um, finally starting to see some life, really pushed higher this week, especially had a lot of sideways movement in here. As you can see, very choppy, but now really breaking out of that range. So this, could look to see it, drop down a little bit at the beginning of the week, find, some support, maybe retest, this area here on a pullback, and then continue higher. I'll also add shares to this on a pullback, and then SoFi. It's a smaller cap company. Right now, it's ranging, and this is actually perfect. I haven't even marked this chart up. So mark this one up real quick. Got the 1 month, as you can see, holding the upper half of that. That's a good sign. This would even be good for, a longer term play targeting up here. So even with SoFi, I might look to, let's say this, Google, Meta, Microsoft, pullback, and then SoFi. No. So yeah, possible leap play on this one. Honestly, I like it for a leap. What I'm seeing with this monthly, since it has held this level, and we're closing the month, really want to see it get above this previous month's high right here. That's a breakout from breakout perspective. But what I want to get as close to here. So possibly buying this on Monday. I will look to, if I had just throw something out, go, what is it, about to be June, 6 months. I'll just go to December. $500 limit. So I might just put on, you know, 3 of these 25s, depending on where we open up. And then that will allow me to kind of just let this run. I would do my first target would probably be right here around 20. Let that go, and depending on what the profit is on that, then let the rest run up here to 32. But we're going to have to establish that trend here on the weekly as well. So I actually might layer this. I might do something for the weekly, and those would be July calls. So I might do July 20s, and then I'll layer on, what were those? July 20 and December 25s. Build out my position that way. So into options plays. Meta bullish, rolled repositioned into this today. Google bullish. Netflix, haven't looked at this one yet. It's giving up, but it's giving up slowly. If it's going to trending lower, it's filled in the gap here, which is good to see. Now looking to see, some continuation, possibly returning to this area here. What is this? The high, 8312, 8320. So that's still an entire gap. But yeah, just looking for it. And even this right here would have to take like this whole gap into consideration. But yeah, looking to see it get back down to this area right here. First target on this is the 8509. It's also sitting at 50% of this massive candle. We've seen one bounce here. Looking to see it break further down and see how low it wants to go. And then this would be a company that, I look to invest in the future for a longer term play. I do think from previous years, like Netflix has always managed to like rally back higher. So interested to see what happens here. We've got this monthly here. So maybe it ranged like it broke here for displacement, pulled back into the SIBI, turning over. So really looking forward to hit down here. We also have these relative equal lows from the weekly. You got here. So probably a lot of liquidity sitting down there. See if we get those stops taken out, and then can buy down here around 75. I think that would be a fantastic area to buy. TSM, Nvidia, Intel. So bullish on all chips right now. TSM still trending, not the cleanest, I'd say, but we are out of this small consolidation period, but not by much. This one I think is not getting as much momentum as I would like, but it's still moving in the right direction, so no complaints. Nvidia, same thing. Looks like made this all-time high, pulled back after earnings, and now we are back in this gap. This one, watching closely, because it looks like it may want to drop further. I'm still bullish with stocks, but what I may do is if this does, you know, show a willingness to go down further, then I will switch to some short-term puts, maybe about 2 weeks out, and then see if we can get this 194, come back to this area here, bounced here before, see if it wants to gather some steam here right under 200, and then rinse and repeat. It makes its next leg higher. If all else fails and it decides to go for this monthly down here, then we're looking at, that's what, like, yeah, 170 or below. Don't think it's going to do that just with how the momentum that semiconductors have right now, but we don't know what could happen. Same thing with Intel. Now, Intel has just taken off, to say the least. But what we have here, it came down past like 50% of this, hit this 1 week gap. I'm just going to take this off. Hit the 1 week gap, rallied from there, but now, kind of consolidating. Entered a call on this gap here, so looking to see this hold up. If it breaks through this, then looking for it to, I'll switch to puts, looking for it to take this low here at 101.79, and that might be a good reload point. If it fails to hold there, then 80.80. So those are those three. GFS scaler now. GFS, new all-time high. We'll look for this to, actually forget it. New all-time high, but really came right back down. This one absolutely smacked. Yeah, came right back down, but hit 50% of the previous week. And then, right here close to this gap. So this is possibly just, a good entry point. I entered in a bit early, a little bit higher than the 50% point. But as you can see, past 3 days, kind of just staying. They've all been within this candle. So looking to see, since this candle is kind of, holding the range as of right now, maybe if we, peek below it and it comes back in, be good to see. If not, then, possibly sitting down here at this area of quote unquote previous resistance, see it maybe, hit this block and then rally from there. I believe ZS was the next one. Yeah, so this one's just been beat down. And honestly, if you look at a lot of the where is that? CS should be, yeah. A lot of the software in tech has been getting crushed. If you look at a lot of these tickers, outside like Palo Alto, CrowdStrike, two that I know of, those have been doing great. But Microsoft's been slow. ZS got crushed. Intuit got crushed. Strategy, is trying to fight back. Palantir's looking to fight back. Adobe, I mean, it's been a downtrend for the longest. So semiconductors has really been leading this space. But that being the case, ZS has been getting, absolutely just pounded. But as you can see, you know, 1 month gap, we're seeing some life from it, rallied, but then earnings, really, dropped this one back down. But to me, this is just a reload point because we've shown a willingness to get up here to 198, got to this gap here, and then dropped because of earnings. But, could possibly see now that we dropped, swing low, showing willingness to get back above this high, could break out. We have a large gap to fill. So look for that to fill there. That's ZS. And then what was the last one? Now. Same thing. Now have been long-term downtrend, but even on the monthly, closed above the high of that. This week we finally, closed above the high of previous swing highs. So really showing some momentum here, gapped up, looking for this to, climb higher. Best, we've got, weekly gap up here. But first we need to take out 126, then 136, and then, we can continue higher. But this is one, can't invest everything in stocks, but if I could, I'd have a ton of stocks, shares, and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, looking to just ride the wave on this one. All right, MSCR, MARA, and CRM. All right, MSCR. This one's kind of been a little rangy. As you can see, it's been, a lot of movement in this space. So it's either gearing up to rally or dump. I'm going to go with the rally. I'm bullish. Right now, we've got, whole moving average crosses, on the monthly, which is good. But this weekly gap for it to come down 50%, push out of that, I like seeing that. And then that's also on the daily, close above the high, last low day. But, showing some bullish momentum. See if we can break this trend. Safest bet for a full trend reversal would be getting above this and then looking for the pullback. But I'm looking at, this weekly gap, this gap here, using those as my premise for this play. I want to see it, push from here, take this, and then we can get up here to 198. MARA and CRM. MARA, as you see, just, trending, came back here, but, didn't drop. All these are just wicks. Bodies are staying above, this previous swing high. So I'm liking that. And then CRM. Still, we're coming out of the lows, big downtrend. Close above, the high of this last down week. And then, on the daily, strong candle. My biggest gripe with CRM, though, is a lot of these daily candles. CRM is very, very wicky. As you can see, everything has wicks. Not a lot of full body closed candles when you look at the daily. So for this one, really going to have to rely on the weekly a lot more. Snow, C, and CVS. Snow, really not much else to say. Earnings, whatever, that just absolutely crushed it. Went from 175, opened at 237, so that's 60 bucks. I mean, this thing is just running. So I have entered. So my one rule, if I'm going to do breakout trades like this, I'm entering half positions. So with 500 to 550 as my full position size, I'm just in a $250 play. That way, if this gets crushed, um, I'll take a $125 loss versus 250 loss. Well, CVS, I don't need to worry about this one. So moving out of tech and into the other area. So looking at C and then Amazon. So banks are still moving up, came down, hit this weekly, busy, bounced, and now, looking for it to, daily, looking for it to gain some momentum, continue higher. Nothing else to really say there. Amazon broke out above here. Want to see this new all-time highs. Looking for 289.90, so let's call it 290. On this, we've had small pullback here, pushing higher, came down, as you can see, hit the top of this, previous area, bounce from there, and then on the daily, pushing up out of there. Small red day today, but nothing too concerning. Looking at industrials, yeah, 3M earnings dropped, but then kind of dug its way out, had to close above the high of this week here, and now starting to see some uptrend on the daily. So gonna wait for this, gonna hold this, and looking for 158. I believe BA was the next one. This one, I'll be honest with you, Boeing is a shit stock. It ranges a lot, but if you can catch the runs and understand the range, then pretty solid trades. But came down, hit this weekly. I got into this, I think, today, so I was definitely late to the party on this one. Yeah, late to the party on this one, but nonetheless. So that's Boeing and looking for that uptrend to continue. Then we've got GE. GE just starting to run. I got caught up with this, and I really missed getting down here for a better entry. Like getting in on this candle would have been more ideal, but now we're just pushing higher, so just riding the wave on that. And then lastly, materials, CLF, this is one I just heard of. Breakout, so half position, looking for 1535. Albemarle, this one's kind of getting slapped around a little bit. Weekly gap, holding, but now it looks like it's just moving sideways. And then Mosaic, downtrending. I'm looking for the reversal on this one. We got above this high of the last down week. So that's good, showing some signs of life on the daily. So we'll see what type of momentum materials has. So those are the initial positions. As far as runners go, Coin, Honeywell, LRCX. As you can see, Coin, pushed out of here. Honeywell, big move this month. So even on a monthly scale. So looking for that to continue. LRCX, uptrending. Microchip, Microsoft, Tesla. Microchip, big push there. Kind of ranging on the weekly. Microsoft, finally broke out, and then Tesla. Using this monthly is really the basis. Honestly, should have went back to long-term plays, but I'm just gonna play a couple months out. We'll ride this trend. If I get a runner where it's free, then I'll just roll that. And then finally, free plays. Not really gonna get into these. I'll say those for another time. But AMD, just still running. Crowd and Palo Alto, those have earnings next week. I'm probably going to hedge these positions. Now these are free contracts. If these go to zero, I've made so much money off the run up on these plays. Don't really care. But for earnings, I'm going to put on hedges to account for if these get slapped. Then I'll at least have I can make up some of the loss. IBM, strong push today. Oh, and now this one bullish, came back, hit this. Still in it. No real concern. Now I think if it breaks down below this, then I'll be concerned. But otherwise, nothing. No changes there. Oracle, big push this week. Palantir, push this week. Qualcomm, I just can't roll this contract any further. Last I checked, for under 500. So yeah, I'm pretty much at like the cusp. So this one, I'm just gonna hold, let it run. SMCI and UNL, and then yeah, this is actually a beauty. Honestly, I feel like this is a ticker that I might buy shares in the IRA just because it can accommodate this kind of position. Get 100 shares, then I can sell calls against it. Once it gets up here to some of these previous liquidity pools, light pullback, grab some income, and then let these continue on. But honestly, I think this might actually be. So I'll do it. Start half positions in that. And then finally, UAL. UAL and Delta got a big, I believe it was Berkshire Hathaway said they were starting to put some money into airlines again. So between UAL and Delta, big pushes. American also got a big push, but I'm not going to be touching this one too much. Small mover, don't really want to deal with it. And then Love, I have a position in the IRA. Also a small mover, but going to work with it. But yeah, that and Delta, and I forget, I think it was like ALK was Alaska. Yeah, even they got a nice move. But no, that's going to be all for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining me on this journey. Once again, this is for educational purposes and entertainment and not financial advice. Hope you're able to learn something, and looking forward to continuing to grow. My goal for June. By end of June, I'll be at 50K in this account, 3K away from that right now, and then in the IRA, moving that from 60 to 65. Probably a bit low, but summer months, possible pullback. We'll just see, where things go. Ideally, if I can get goal is 500 a week, just getting from 61 to 63, I'll be happy with that just because I think it's up. Started with 25K, so I've already 100%ed that portfolio as well as this one where I started around 20K. So I'm happy with the gains on the year as they are, but looking to see how much further we can go this year with good risk management and trading. But I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.